Hello. This is going to be an updated introduction video to Houdini Engine in Godot. So I will talk about the changes since the initial release and also showcase a bit of stuff that you can do with it now and how to do it, and basically how to bring your Houdini HDAs into Godot. Um, a bunch of people asked me initially what Houdini even is from the Godot community. So I thought I'd give a really quick introduction. Basically, Houdini is a procedural 3D software. It's a lot used in movies, VFX, advertisements, and this sort of stuff for like all sorts of cool simulations, explosions, liquid simulations, this sort of stuff. Um, but in the games industry, it has become quite a standard tool for like offline procedural generation to build procedural tools. Um, so like erosion simulation to generate terrains, generating buildings, road networks, instancing foliage, all this sort of stuff. There's quite a few like talks about impressive pipelines. I think my favorite is probably the Far Cry 5 one. There's a really good talk on that. I'll link it in the description if you just want to get an idea of what Houdini Engine is and what it allows you to do. Um, but yeah, so I want to showcase the changes and sort of how to use it now. Um, so there quite a lot has happened because basically I added automatic UI and like a default Higo node. So you don't actually need any sort of scripting anymore um, to get your HDAs to work in Godot and bring them in, and there's like a default solution for you. Um, So first, maybe I'll show a couple of examples here. So there's like a tree generator that I made. So this basically just uses the standard um, SideFX Labs tree generator nodes, if you're familiar with those. Um, but all of these trees and also these bushes were spawned with that generator. I also made a grass generator here and a little rock generator and this poppy seed generator. They didn't turn out too great, so I didn't actually use them for anything. Um, but I also made a biome tool, and I thought I'd just show how you'd set that up. So basically, you just create this Higo node 3D, um, and when you add that, um, you can move it around. Um, and if I recook here, and there's a couple of settings down here in this bottom panel, so in case that's not clear, you can click on this and then it opens this bottom panel. You have this Houdini Engine tab where right now there's just start session and stop session. But in the HDA panel, there's a bunch more stuff. You can see here HDA not instantiated, recook to see parameters, and there's this window here. And in here, I have auto start session on and I have auto cook turned off. But I first need to assign actually what asset to use. And right now, that's a bit annoying. You have to type this in here and it's called Higo Biome Generator. So that's just the operator name in Houdini of the HDA that I want to instantiate. Um, so right now you just type this in here, and the HDA just needs to be somewhere in your install path. Down the line, I will add like a drop down here or something to select them. But right now, that's how it works. If I'd recook now, I already had a session open, so that went really quick. But otherwise, it would create a session now, so it would take a couple of seconds. Um, but I now get this. So I have the parameter interface auto-generated, matching the one in Houdini, and I have the inputs here. Um, and this HDA, it expects a ground projection mesh and it expects an area curve. So if I go in here and expand this and then add the ground mesh as the projection mesh, and then for the area curve, I feed in maybe this path, um, and then I hit recook again. You can see I get something there. Um, but right now that's just a bunch of colliders because I haven't actually set up any of the models. Um, but I have a couple of presets here, so that's also new. There's presets now, and I can hit, for example, the oak field. I can hit load, and then you can see here I get a bunch of parameters set up here. I can hit recook, and now I get a nice field generated here where this path is. And now, of course, as usual with Houdini, I can go in here and maybe modify this curve a bit, go back to this generator, hit recook, and get a different result. Um, and as you can see, the output here is quite structured. So I have here the Higo node 3D. It generates an empty node outputs. Here it generates a multi-mesh, and then it generates a bunch of different multi-meshes that contain the different instances. And then over here, it also, if I collapse this, you can see it also generates this collisions node 3D, and under there, it creates a bunch of static bodies, um, which then contain um, collision shapes. So you can see here it generates these capsule colliders. For the rocks, maybe this is actually a bit small, but it could be configured differently. But also for the trees, it does this. So if I go in here and select this one, I hit the ground mesh. Can be a bit tricky to actually select this. Now I have it. So you can see it generates this capsule collider around the trees as well. Um, And this is all set up in the HDA with attributes. So if I go into the HDA here on Houdini, so I have session sync active here, so I can actually look at it on the inside. And if I go into this Higo biome generator, and in here, I have these HDAs, which basically there's one for trees, one for rocks, one for bushes. They're all the same. And go in here. I have like two branches here that I'm merging. So one is the actual models. So this one contains Higo use multimesh, which is an integer, needs to be set to 1 to actually spawn things as a multimesh instance. Then a multimesh attribute, which is a string, and that's a path, and that contains this multimesh slash trees. And this is the structure that is created in Godot here to match it. So as you can see here, I have this multimesh, and then under there I have trees, grass, um, cluster, blah blah blah. So this is all the like basically trees was in the path, and then the name of the models. That's how it assembles this. But you can like create complex hierarchies like this by adding in well the slashes in the path for this attribute. And then there's just Higo mesh resource, and that just points to the mesh to use. Um, and that's coming from the multi-parm in the parameter interface. So here in the parameter interface, you can see there's like medium models, small models, and it's just pulling these models here and assigning those to the points. So that's the instancing itself. And there's like documentation on this. If I find that, um, let me pull that up. Um, uh, Here on the Higo Node 3D. So on here, you see documentation for the different things you can do. So in this case, we're in the instancing part. So yeah, you can like normal, color, up, p-scale, scale. They work exactly how you'd expect them to work. But then you need Higo use multimesh if you want instancing. Um, Higo multimesh is this path thing where it creates the node at the given path here. And then Higo mesh resource is just the string of the resource the mesh resource to use for the instancing. Um, for the collisions, it's a bit more complex because that's this object spawning table over here. Um, and if I quickly show this, basically, I have this utility HDA here. And initially, I'm generating a random UUID. And the purpose of this is I want to have a really explicit path where I can't get any conflicts. And so I'm generating a random ID. Doesn't need to be crazy long, just long enough so I'm pretty sure I don't have any conflicts. And you can see this here in the names of the collision static body 3Ds. And the reason for this is in Godot, static body 3D by itself doesn't actually do anything. It needs a collision shape 3D, and the collision shape 3D actually needs some sort of shape. Um, to get collisions. And so how this works is basically first I'm on these points. I'm setting Higo spawn to 1, and then Higo spawn type is 0. And if you look at the documentation, um, that means that spawn type 0 register class by name, 1 scene resource by path. Um, Now, because I want to spawn a static body 3D and that's a built-in type, I'm spawning by name. And then I'm giving it the node path, which is like this collision / static body 3D underscore the ID. This is so I have this like random or like unique name for each of the static body 3Ds. And then I'm just assigning scale, p scale, n and up so that it doesn't get overridden to 0 when I merge it with the other points. And then I'm creating the actual collision shape 3D objects. And this is a bit more complex. So here I'm setting the class name to collision shape 3D, and I'm modifying the path to include a / collision shape 3D. And then I'm setting the position to 0, 0 on X and Z, and then I'm just giving it a height. And the reason for that is because basically um, it like in Godot, right? This static body already has the position, so this child of it doesn't need the position anymore because this already is at the correct position. So I'm setting the position of the collision shape 3 to 0, 0 to ensure that it's at the same location. Um, and then it has this custom properties attribute. And there's an explanation for that in the documentation as well. It only works on the object spawning right now. But basically, I have this copy pasted here, um, what the value to it is. I will go over this a bit. If you look at this, how this works here, the capsule shape 3D, is the capsule shape 3D actually has values as well. So it has a radius and it has a height, which I want to set here. And so this custom properties, it expects a dictionary where the keys are the names of the properties you want to set. And then the value is also a dictionary where higoval is always the value. So in this case, shape has higoval set to capsule shape 3D. And then it detects that capsule shape 3D is a built-in class name. And so it creates a new capsule shape 3D. And then in this dictionary, there's also height and radius. And then it checks, does capsule shape 3D have a height and a radius attribute or property? And if it does, check their values and set them. So this way we can create a capsule shape 3D and then set attributes on it. And this works nested as well. So you could, for example, um, create some object which takes a material and then it create the material and then in the material assign a shader and then set a property on the shader. So this is really cool that works, and this way we get collisions here. So I can actually, if I run current scene, I have like a basic character in here. Yeah, I'm spawning a bit far away, but let me maximize this. You can see there's collisions for the rocks. There's collisions for the trees. And yeah, all of this is generated by the tool. So that's pretty cool. So if I close this again, yeah, that's basically how that works. And how you can bring your HDAs into Godot. Maybe one example I also want to show, simply because it's probably going to be the more easy use case, is if I go in here and I maybe regenerate one of those trees. So maybe let me pick this one and I select this. You can see here it says HDA not instantiated, recook to see parameters. If I hit recook now, It takes a minute because this is actually a relatively slow generator. Um, but now I get the parameter interface here. Um, and yeah, I mean, here maybe I can just quickly show, I can randomize it, hit recook again, and now I get a different tree. Or maybe I can change the trunk length, and I can create a bigger tree. But yeah, so this is a tree generator. And if I go into Houdini and show this one, so it has created this tree generator node now here. And if I go in here, this is quite a lot simpler. Basically here you just have Higo material, which is set by a parameter on the HDA. So if I go in here, you can see there's a trunk material and a leaf material parameter exposed, and I'm setting that there. And then also here, I'm setting the Higo mesh instance to tree mesh, and that just works the same way with like this hierarchy of creating the things, where it just calls it tree mesh. And yeah, so that's how you can bring meshes into Godot and assign materials. You can also assign LODs and a whole like bunch of other stuff. And yeah, you can already do quite advanced stuff. On this one, I will also quickly show a bit on how the preset stuff works. So right now here, if I in the presets here, if I click new, I can create a new preset for this. So let's just call this the skinny tall tree and hit OK. And now you can see it's there. And if I, for example, load the oak field regular, maybe also hit recook just to show what it actually is. So that's the oak field regular preset. And if I hit the skinny tall tree again, hit load, recook, you can see I get that back. And then I can also modify it now. So I don't know, for example, maybe I want to make the trunk thicker, just because that's easy to show. And then save the preset and load a different one. Hit recook maybe first. And then load the skinny tall one again, recook. You can see I keep the thicker trunk. So yeah, that's basically the basics of how these presets work. If you want to check out how they work, they basically get stored in this Higo presets folder, and then for each HDA, it creates one of those files. And then basically it just stores the packed byte array, which stores the parameters in the for like the names in a dictionary. So if you want to delete one, you can just go here, remove item, and then if I hit recook, it'll update the interface and the preset is gone. And it'll auto create these files. So if they're not there yet, it'll do that for you. So yeah, that's how the presets work. So yeah, I would recommend you to, if you want to look into Houdini Engine for Godot, to check out the demo project in this repository because it contains this tree generator scene. And have a play with it and with the generators. And otherwise, in the future, I will probably make like a small video series where I will be creating a building generator from scratch and making it work with this Houdini engine in Godot implementation. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything or any feedback, let me know. And maybe one final thing I will quickly show just to give you an idea of how to install it. So right now you do need a commercial Houdini license. So it can be FX Core or it can be the commercial engine if you already have HDAs, I guess. But if you go to the releases section here, you can download the version here. There will be a new version by the time you see this video because I made a couple of small changes since this already. But yeah, just download the zip file here, and then you will be getting this, and just drag the add-ons and bin folder into your Godot project. In Godot, make sure in the plugins, in the settings, Higo is enabled, and you might have to restart your Godot engine afterwards. So yeah, that's basically it. Feel free to leave a comment or message me on Twitter if anything is unclear, or you want to use it and you're running into issues. So thank you.